2s and 3s, then leading now in 2013 to the 8s, 7s, 9s. So we know that the raw numbers in this state, at least, are also increasing. There was this lovely article published in Vox last year that I got really excited about when it first came out, because I was like, oh, North Carolina is doing something right. We are decreasing rates of the disparities between black and white patients, and whereas maybe that's actually happening. What they fail to mention in the article is actually there's an increase in the rates of death in white patients, and part of that is due to the opioid epidemic. So it's narrowing the disparities in the wrong way. Oops. So what else do we know in terms of racial disparities? This is a patient, Shalon Irving, who is actually a CDC researcher, had 2 MPHs, had a PhD, and was her goal in life was to study racial disparities and the effect of racism on the health of black women. She delivered, and 3 weeks later, died from a stroke herself. Wow. She had chronic hypertension, had obesity, had presented to the physician 3 times, and there were multiple phone calls with her complaining of headaches, having severe blood pressures at home, was given nifedipine, one day said she didn't feel well, and then had a stroke. So how is this happening to someone so privileged as her? We know that in the US we have 3 to 4 times the rate of maternal mortality in African American women compared to all other races. This is a study that Dr. Brown was one of the co-investigators on. We know that when compared to white patients or patients of other racial backgrounds, the risk of maternal mortality in African American women is sky high. You can see this graph here that I think is particularly striking for the maternal mortality in women over 40. You can see that it far surpasses, if you compare these raw numbers here to global rates, women who are black women over 40 have the same maternal mortality rate to women in Bangladesh. In New York City, the bastion of liberal policy, we have 12 times the maternal mortality rate of black women compared to white women. And why is that? Well, the decrease in maternal mortality among white women has actually widened the disparities. When we look at how race looks in our country and where black women live, you can almost predict the states that are going to have higher maternal mortality ratios based on the population of black patients in that state. Washington, D.C. has the highest rate of maternal mortality in the United States at 38, and it also has a very high black population. So why do black women die at 3 to 4 times the rate of white women in the United States? Well, they have bad cardiovascular disease. They have 10 times the rate of cardiovascular disease than white women. They also have high venous thromboembolism risk. They also are more obese. They also have perhaps more C-sections. But there's also a degree of preventability. In this study coming out of California, actually, they saw that black women who died from postpartum hemorrhage had much higher rates of preventable deaths than women of other backgrounds. I give this example to Shima. Thank you for your text this morning. Serena Williams, my life coach and the greatest of all time tennis player, is now really coming into this advocacy role of maternal mortality because she, with all her privilege and all her wealth and all her expertise and